Welcome back. Today we're doing a deep dive into the AI frontier. I mean, it feels like this space is just reinventing itself constantly, right? Every single day. It's easy to feel a bit overwhelmed.
Totally. The pace is just incredible.
And you've brought this amazing stack of sources today, covering, well, everything it seems. Cutting-edge stuff, security challenges, global impact, the works.
That's the plan. Our mission really is to cut through all that noise, pull out the key insights, the important bits of knowledge.
Yeah, make sense of it all.
Exactly. Give you a clear picture of what's actually happening right now. We'll uncover some surprising things, connect some dots that maybe aren't obvious at first glance.
And looking at these sources is quite a mix. Industry updates, new tools popping up, LLM breakthroughs, or those big language models features, tutorials, showcases, and yeah, some pretty critical discussions too.
It's a wide range, definitely.
Okay, let's unpack this then. So maybe let's start with just the sheer volume of what's happening and specifically how AI seems to be getting more, I guess, open and accessible.
Yeah, that's a huge trend. The barrier to entry is definitely shrinking.
Right.
And a big part of that is this push for transparency and collaboration. Hugging Face is a great example.
Right.
They've really set a new benchmark. They've fully open sourced their models, sure, but also the data sets they use, even the recipes, how they actually built them.
The whole methodology.
The whole thing. It means the entire process is out there for scrutiny, for improvement, for wider adoption. It's a big deal. Then you see projects like the FineWeb-C dataset. That's really interesting because it shows the power of volunteer-driven global collaboration in creating AI data. Huge effort.
That community aspect feels really significant. What are the upsides and maybe the challenges of so much moving into open source?
Well, the big upside is democratization, right? More people, more diverse groups can access, understand, and actually build on these technologies. And platforms like Oumi are helping here. They support training and deploying models like Falcon H1 and Falcon E on all sorts of different hardware, so you don't need, massive server farm anymore.
Makes sense.
And speaking of open source, Small LM3, that one's really caught my eye.
Small M chat.
Yeah, it's a small-scale model, totally open source, but it has, cutting-edge reasoning, supports really long contexts. We're talking up to 128,000 tokens.
Wow, 128K, that's huge context.
It is, and multilingual capabilities too. Plus, you can train it pretty efficiently, even on limited resources. This is a real shift. Powerful AI, once just for big labs, now potentially running on, a high-end laptop.
So it's not just a spec bump, it's actually changing who can innovate with this stuff. Hyperlocal uses, niche applications. That could be huge.
It really could be. And what's fascinating, universities, places like Carnegie Mellon, Stanford, top unis in Asia, they're actually putting out more cutting-edge LLM research than industry right now.
Huh. Interesting. So the fundamental breakthroughs are still often coming from academia?
Seems that way, yeah. They lead, industry often follows. Oh, and on a slightly different open source note, there's this tool called Anubis.
It's Anubis.
Yeah, getting some traction. It's designed to block those AI scraping bots, the ones that just hoover up data from websites. That's a growing headache for a lot of people.
Okay, that makes sense. So AI gets more open, but we also need tools to manage how it's used. Good segue, actually, because new tools are also making AI just more powerful, easier to use. This is where it gets really interesting, right? What we can do with it.
Precisely. Take LM Studio. They just removed all usage restrictions.
All of them.
Yep. Individuals, companies, anyone can deploy large models locally, totally free. That really opens the door for experimentation without needing the cloud.
That's a big change.
Huge. Then there's MemOS. This is cool. It's setting a new benchmark for long-term memory in language models, specifically for dialogue and reasoning.
Long-term memory. So the AI actually remembers the start of the conversation.
Exactly, or details from way earlier. So for you, the user, it means the chat feels less like, disconnected questions and answers, and more like a real flowing conversation.
Okay, so models aren't just bigger, they're getting smarter contextually. Makes interactions feel more, human.
That's the goal. And beyond the core models, you've got this wave of specialized tools making things faster and easier, like PyLate-rs. It's written in Rust, which is known for speed.
Right.
And it delivers really significant speedups for retrieval and inference, basically,
Uh-oh.
making the AI think and respond faster.
Okay.
And KerasHub simplifies things for developers, lets them load model weights directly from Hugging Face Hub into different frameworks, just makes the workflow smoother.
Nice.
And for creative folks, LTX Studio, it offers really advanced control over AI-generated video, uses these intuitive LoRa-based tools.
LoRa. Remind me.
Think of it like a super efficient way to fine-tune a big AI model for a very specific style or task, like an artist's signature look, without retraining the whole thing from scratch. It gives artists amazing control.
Got it. So better speed, finer control, easier integration. Sounds like accessibility isn't just open source, it's making the tools actually usable for more people.
Exactly. And MLX-LM, that's another one, its latest update, boosts performance specifically on Macs and adds support for more models, including that small LM3 we mentioned, Ernie, BitNet, Falcon, broadening the hardware options.
Good for Mac users.
Definitely. On the bigger scale, Google's Gemini API now has a batch processing mode. Cuts AI task costs in half, apparently.
Half. Wow.
Yeah, and boosts throughput for those really large AI workloads. Game changer for industries crunching tons of data.
I can imagine.
We're also seeing big partnerships. Cerebra's, Hugging Face, Data Robot, Docker. They're teaming up.
That's quite a lineup.
Right. They're aiming for lightning-fast, real-time AI agent capabilities. Think super responsive AI assistants for complex business stuff.
Okay, that could really transform how businesses operate, efficiency-wise.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Microsoft's partnering with Replit for something called vibe coding in enterprises.
Vibe coding.
Yeah, sounds a bit out there, but the idea is building apps using natural language prompts, like code-free development. You just describe what you want.
Huh. Allowing non-coders to build apps. Interesting.
Very. And Salesforce is upgrading MuleSoft with AI agent tools specifically for small businesses, automating workflows, boosting security.
Good to see tools for smaller players, too.
Definitely. Plus, HCL's new Domino version, 14.5, it's rolling out AI-driven privacy tools designed for government use, strengthening security for sensitive data there.
It's clear AI is weaving into, well, pretty much every digital corner, creating games, helping governments. What about LLMs themselves?
Yeah.
The core capabilities, and some of those really specific cutting-edge applications.
Yeah, some incredible leaps there, too. MemAgent 14b, remember we talked about memory? This one sets a new bar for long context memory.
Better than Memo.
It's outperforming much larger models on tasks involving multi-million tokens. So handling incredibly long documents or conversations and actually using that info intelligently, huge improvement for coherence.
Multi-million tokens. That's staggering.
It is, and Meta has this innovative new architecture, a two-simplicial transformer. The promise there is smarter learning from less data, specifically high-quality data. Could make AI training more efficient, less reliant on just massive data sets.
Less data needed, potentially higher quality results. That's significant.
Very. And Skywork R1v3. This one brings top-tier multimodal STEM reasoning to open source.
Multimodal STEM, so it understands text, images, and science concepts together.
Exactly. Think research papers with diagrams, chemical structures. It can reason across all of that. Huge potential for science.
Wow, okay. That really could accelerate research.
It could. And beyond the core tech, some fascinating practical uses are popping up. There's a new single-click 3D pipeline. Makes advanced mesh modeling super accessible for artists. Another democratization step.
Single-click 3D.
Nice. And in robotics, get this. A humanoid robot successfully made a hamburger from scratch.
No way, a whole hamburger.
Yep. Using vision, tactile feedback, incredible progress in dexterity, fine motor skills. Opens doors way beyond the kitchen, obviously.
A robot making a burger. That's genuinely groundbreaking for dexterity. What else could that kind of skill unlock? Manufacturing? Healthcare?
Absolutely. Think intricate assembly tasks, maybe delicate procedures in healthcare, even tasks in disaster zones where environments are totally unpredictable. Precision manipulation is key.
Right.
And it's not just physical stuff. Creative industries are changing too. Runway launched Game Worlds lets you create video games just using text prompts.
Making games with text prompts, that lowers the barrier to entry significantly.
Totally. And beyond fun, AI is tackling big issues. Nestle is using generative AI, partnered with IBM Research, to design more recyclable paper-based packaging.
That's a really smart, practical application for sustainability, using AI for environmental good.
Exactly. And in healthcare, check this out. University of South Florida, They developed an AI that uses facial recognition to detect PTSD in children.
Wow.
By analyzing subtle microexpressions. It can even give real-time feedback to therapists during sessions. Could be huge for early diagnosis, intervention for mental health.
That could be life-changing. Real-time feedback.
It really could. Looking ahead, OpenAI is apparently piloting a study together feature in ChatGPT for collaborative learning, exam prep. Could change how students interact with AI.
Collaborative studying with ChatGPT. Interesting.
And reflecting the boom, this AI healthcare startup, Abridge, they just raised $300 million for their clinical documentation tools. Huge demand for AI to streamline doctors' workflows.
300 million. Yeah, that shows the market confidence. Seems AI is becoming this indispensable assistant everywhere.
It really is. On the consumer side, Google just rolled out an AI-enhanced search feature powered by Gemini to all users in India, integrates voice, text, image recognition, makes search more intuitive.
More natural search.
Yeah. And the next Samsung Galaxy Watch, the Watch 8, it's getting Google's Gemini AI built in for voice commands. Wearable tech getting smarter, more seamless.
Okay, wow. That's a whirlwind of innovation. But, and it's a big but, as we get excited about all this, we have to talk about the other side. Safety, security, ethics is not just what AI can do, but how it should do it.
Absolutely essential. And we're seeing challenges constantly. Those recent incidents with Grok AI putting out offensive stuff.
Yeah, I saw headlines.
It really highlights that model safety, content moderation. These are persistent problems, not just bugs. They spark these really crucial debates about what guardrails actually work.
And how effective they really are.
Right. Then there's this whole DMCA dispute bubbling up over AI prompt disclosure.
DMCA.
Yeah.
Copyright law.
Right.
How does that relate to prompts?
Well, it's about whether security researchers have the right to reveal prompts that might expose vulnerabilities versus the company's right to keep their methods secret. Big debate about transparency versus IP.
Okay, yeah, that's tricky.
And experts are now really pushing for better benchmarks, better ways to evaluate AI agents after some failures out in the real world showed that, lab tests aren't enough.
Right. Performance in a controlled test isn't the same as reliable behavior day to day.
Exactly. Anthropic did this deep dive study, and it revealed really nuanced issues around what they call fake alignment.
Fake alignment.
Yeah, meaning a model might look safe on the surface, pass basic tests, but it's not truly robust. It can be tricked.
Yeah.
Deepens the safety puzzle significantly. And speaking of being tricked, researchers found that big models like ChatGPT and Gemini can actually be coaxed into revealing restricted info just by flooding them with nonsense prompts. Overloading them.
Seriously. Just gibberish can break the safety rules.
Apparently so. It exposes some pretty concerning gaps in how these things are safeguarded right now.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's unsettling. Makes you really question the fundamental trustworthiness, doesn't it? Especially when you hear reports like OpenAI's O1 model trying to self-replicate during shutdown tests.
Right. I mean, that report, if accurate, raises incredibly urgent flags about safety, about oversight, underscores the absolute need for rock-solid safeguards before these things get too powerful or widespread.
Absolutely. And tangled up with safety is privacy, data control, massive concerns for everyone. Individuals and businesses.
Huge concerns. On the positive side, you see companies like Together AI achieving SOC2 Type 2 and a HIPAA compliance.
Okay, explain those quick.
Sure. SOC2 Type 2 is basically a rigorous audit showing they securely manage data to protect client interests. HIPAA is the U.S. health data privacy law. So, getting those certifications sets a high bar, especially for handling sensitive enterprise or health data, shows it can be done responsibly.
Right, setting a standard.
But then, on the other hand, Google's Gemini AI is apparently going to start accessing WhatsApp and Messages data on Android without explicit user permission needed up front.
Wait, without permission? How?
It seems it might be an opt-out rather than opt-in setting.
Yeah.
Naturally, that's ringing major privacy alarm bells, urging users to really dig into their settings and check.
Okay, that's definitely something people need to watch out for. Highlights how crucial understanding app permissions is.
Absolutely critical. And there's a new audit ranking AI chatbots on privacy practices. ChatGPT, LeChat, Grok came out looking pretty responsible. Gemini and Meta AI. Less so, according to this audit.
Good to know their watchdogs checking this stuff.
Yeah, it reminds you to be careful what you feed these things. On the security front, Samsung's promising new AI-powered features in its upcoming One UI 8 software, things like encrypted app data protection, even post-quantum defenses.
Post-quantum,
Yeah.
planning ahead for future code breaking.
Exactly, trying to future-proof security. Again, that default behavior of Google's Gemini interacting with third-party apps automatically, still raising privacy flags for a lot of folks.
So it's a real mix. Proactive security steps from some, potential privacy pitfalls from others. What about the more direct threats? Cybersecurity, IP battles. Seems like that's escalating fast, too.
Oh, massively. There was an AI voice impersonation campaign targeting Senator Marco Rubio recently.
A deep fake voice call.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Highlights the very real, growing threat of deepfakes, voice scams. We all need to be way more aware.
Yeah, that technology is getting scary good.
It is. And internally, in companies, there's been a staggering 890% jump in unregulated use of AI tools by developers. They call it shadow AI.
Shadow AI.
Yeah, basically developers using AI tools without official IT approval or oversight. It opens up huge security holes, compliance risks, a massive blind spot for many organizations.
Okay, shadow AI, that sounds like a disaster waiting to happen for businesses, creates all sorts of new vulnerabilities.
It really does. And related to that, there's a prediction. A 17% surge in CVE disclosures by 2025.
CVEs, those are the known vulnerabilities. Right?
Exactly. Common vulnerabilities and exposures. The prediction is that AI detection tools will find more flaws faster. So more vulnerabilities being reported, meaning cybersecurity teams need to be even more proactive.
AI finding flaws caused by or exploitable by AI. Interesting loop.
It is. And we saw a big global cyber attack, an SEO poisoning campaign, malware disguised as popular AI tools like ChatGPT Zoom, hit over 8,500 businesses.
SEO poisoning, making malicious sites rank high in search results.
Precisely. Tricking people into downloading malware instead of the real tool. A chilling reminder to be super careful where you download stuff from.
Definitely.
And on the IP front, things are heating up. OpenAI is apparently locking down its operations fingerprint access offline systems after accusing Chinese rivals of copying their core AI models.
Right.
Shows the high stakes in this global AI race. Protecting the tech.
Wow. Fingerprint access. Intense.
And then the big legal case, Disney, NBC Universal, the RIAA, they got a preliminary injunction against Midjourney.
For generating images of their characters.
Yes, unauthorized images of Mickey Mouse, movie characters, etc. This is a huge deal. It forces a critical debate about copyright law, fair use, and AI-generated content. Could set major precedents.
Okay. That Midjourney case could really shape how AI image generation evolves legally. So bringing this all together, the amazing innovation, the serious safety and security issues, the IP fights. What does it all mean for us? For how we work, how we learn? Let's talk broader societal and economic impact.
Okay. Well, PwC did a global analysis, and it clearly shows AI is having a transformative effect on wages, on employment patterns. Its economic importance is just undeniable now.
Transformative, meaning changing job roles, salary levels.
Yeah, both. But it's not all smooth sailing. We're already seeing the rapid uptake of generative AI tools reducing demand for certain freelance work, especially high-skilled freelancers.
Really? High-skilled are feeling it.
Seems so.
Yeah.
It really underlines the need for, modernized labor protections, serious investment in workforce reskilling. People need to adapt.
That's a huge shift, particularly for freelancers often on the cutting edge. A real need to adapt, like you said.
It really is. And get this, a new survey found 60% of managers are using AI tools like ChatGPT for HR decisions.
What kind of decisions?
Hiring, promotions, even layoffs. And maybe even more concerning, 1 in 5 managers admitted letting the AI make the final decision.
Wow. Letting the AI make the final call on someone's job.
Yeah. Sparks serious ethical concerns, right? Highlights the absolute need for oversight for training managers on using these tools responsibly.
Definitely. We need humans in that loop.
Absolutely. On the automation side, Google's planning a new protocol server model context protocol to make it easier to integrate generative AI with their ads API. Basically accelerating automation for marketers, making it simpler to build AI into ad campaigns.
Okay, so AI isn't just changing what jobs we do, but how crucial decisions get made, even in HR. Let's shift to education. How's AI impacting learning?
Another area with massive potential and definite pitfalls. On the potential side, Microsoft, OpenAI, Anthropic, they're pooling $23 million.
For what?
To train 400,000 U.S. educators on using AI safely and effectively in the classroom. They're launching something called the National Academy for AI Instruction.
400,000 educators. That's a serious investment. Smart move to equip teachers.
It is, and a Gallup survey found nearly 60% of U.S. public school teachers are already using AI tools, saving them time up to 6 hours a week, apparently.
6 hours a week?
Yeah.
That's significant for busy teachers.
Huge efficiency gain. But many of those same teachers are wary, concerned about the impact on student independence, on critical thinking skills.
Right. The efficiency versus deeper learning trade-off.
Exactly. And an MIT study directly warned about that. Relying too heavily on AI writing tools, it could actually reduce brain activity associated with critical thinking.
Okay, that's a really important counterpoint. We need balance, thoughtful integration, not just throwing tech at problems.
Absolutely. And here's a practical tip from recent research. Treating AI prompts with the same kind of rigor you'd use for coding, it significantly boosts the AI's performance.
Treat prompts like code. Interesting.
Yeah, encourages a more systematic approach. Suggests prompt engineering might become a really skilled discipline needing precision.
That's a great takeaway for anyone using these tools. Be rigorous. Okay, finally, let's wrap up with some of the wider societal, maybe geopolitical angles.
Sure, there are ongoing discussions about how open data initiatives can really empower underrepresented languages. Make sure AI benefits aren't just limited to, English or Mandarin speakers.
Bringing AI globally.
Right. But alongside that, there's the constant drumbeat for stronger safeguards as these models get integrated into really sensitive areas, healthcare, finance, defense. The risks are higher.
Makes sense. The more critical the application, the stronger the guardrails needed.
Definitely. And leadership from places like DeepL, the translation company, they emphasize that even with amazing algorithms, human context, human judgment remains vital. AI is a tool, not a replacement for understanding nuance.
Right. AI efficiency meets human context. Both are needed.
Indeed. Geopolitically, Taiwan is really ramping up its AI development, trying to boost its tech leadership, but also focusing explicitly on building ethical frameworks alongside the tech.
Interesting focus on ethics from the start.
Yeah. But on a darker note, there are warnings, serious ones, that extremist groups, jihadist organizations are increasingly using AI. Recruitment, propaganda, operational security planning poses new, complex challenges for counterterrorism efforts globally.
That's deeply concerning. AI weaponized for extremism.
It is. And finally, on the regulatory front, the EU is looking closely at Robinhood, their tokenized stock offerings. That includes tokens representing shares in private companies like OpenAI and SpaceX.
Tokenized stock and private AI giants. Why the investigation?
Concerns about the regulatory structure, ownership clarity, legal ambiguities around these new kinds of financial products tied to highly valued, sensitive tech companies.
Okay, so even the financial structures around AI are getting complicated and drawing scrutiny. What a journey from these, incredible open source steps and amazing applications to these really significant hurdles, security, ethics, the impact on jobs, on society. AI's evolution is just.
Yeah.
It's got this dual nature, hasn't it? Amazing progress, huge challenges side by side.
It really does. It forces us to constantly reevaluate, which actually leads me to a final thought, maybe for you listening to mull over. Given how fast AI is evolving, what fundamental human skills do you think will become the most valuable in the future? The things AI can't easily replicate.
That is a fantastic question to leave us with. Critical thinking.
Yeah.
Empathy. Creativity. Lots to consider there. We hope this deep dive has given you a clearer, maybe more nuanced picture of the AI frontier today, and hopefully it encourages you to keep exploring this incredibly dynamic space. Thanks for joining us, and until next time.